and welcome in to the latest episode of the Dorton and Doetkott Debate Podcast. I am Lucas Dorton, joined by Nick Doetkott here. It has been a while, folks, but we are here again to finally give you another show. Nick, how you doing?
We're doing all right. Doing all right.
It's good. That's good. So as you can see, folks, it is that time of the year again where we make our NFL predictions for the season, giving our records for teams, playoffs, and award predictions. So it's always a good episode. It will probably be a little bit longer, I'm assuming, but it's definitely going to be worth every second of your time. So be sure to listen to the entirety of this episode because it's going to be a good one. So we're just going to get right into it. AFC East. We're starting with the East, Dolphins fan, and that's the first one I wrote down. So we're going to start there. Nick, give me your record predictions from first to last in the AFC East.
I've got Buffalo repeating at 12-5, followed by your Dolphins at 11-6. Got the Patriots at 8-9. Remember, everybody, 17-game schedule. So,
yep.
And then we got the Jets at 5-12.
Okay. I am almost exactly the same as yours. I have the Bills also first at 12-5, Dolphins second at 11-6, Patriots in third at 8-9, and the Jets in last at 4-13. So I gave them one less win than you did.
Wow, that's crazy.
But that is our prediction for that. I'm pretty confident that the Bills are going to win the division as a Dolphins fan. I think that's pretty. I'm not going to say set in stone. I think it'll come down really to those two games if the Dolphins and Bills play each other this year. If Miami is to win both of them, then I definitely think our chances of winning the division are a lot higher. More than likely, what will really happen is we'll probably split, if not get swept, with Buffalo. So that's what I think.
Buffalo used to be this defensive team that ran the ball. Now they're literally the complete opposite. They're not bad defensively, but they're not necessarily great defensively. But they just throw all over you. Whereas Miami now has the best defense in the division, in my opinion. New England 2 years ago was amazing, but I don't know. I'd take Miami over them. And Miami's got a little more offense. But Buffalo's offense, with Josh Allen, the way he played last year, is one of the best offense in the league. So, yes, they're the clear favorite. But, and now, granted, you can say this about anybody, but, if their quarterback goes down, if Allen goes down, or if Diggs goes down, they're going to be in trouble. Miami might be one of the very rare teams where, Tua goes down or somebody else goes down, and they might still be able to be fine because they're not as reliant on one or two guys as, the Bills are. So, I think Miami will be able to overcome injuries a lot better, but, assuming health, which I almost always do, Buffalo should win this division.
I agree. Pretty much everything that you said there. Miami is a really solid team on both sides of the ball. So I definitely agree. I think if a big injury were to happen, obviously probably depending on who it is, Miami should be fine. Patriots at 8-9, Nick, and I know this is something that you and I we have talked about a lot. We've seen a lot of stuff. Can you explain to me where all of the love from the Patriots is coming from? Because any prediction that I've seen and any person I've seen make predictions thinks the Patriots are going to be an 11-12 win team. Folks, last year the Patriots were not good. They were not a good football team. Now, sure, you can say they had opt-outs from big players. Cam Newton wasn't good. And both of those things are true. But the thing is the players that they brought back, yes, are going to be solid, and they did make a couple, bigger offseason moves, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, and they're getting some big players back that they did miss last year. And I get that. Trust me, I get that. But from what and I can't remember off the top of my head what the record was last year, I'm just shocked at the amount of people that think the Patriots are legitimately could be a 12-13 win football team. Bill Belichick, arguably one of, if not the greatest coach of all time. And I get that. I see that 100%. But there's so many other factors going into it. I just don't think the Patriots are going to make that big of a leap from being a bad to average team to, jumping to 12-13 wins and making the playoffs. What do you think?
I'll tell you why. It's because people hate Tom Brady. they hate Tom Brady and they think the Patriots were only good because of Belichick. No, the Patriots were good because of Brady. Just get it in your minds, people. Like Bill Belichick, I do think is the greatest coach of all time. But Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, and quarterbacks are much, much more important. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I mean, you need a good coach, but like, if you have a great quarterback like Brady, Manning, whatever, that's by far the most important. They were that good because of Brady. They might be decent with Belichick, but you still need a quarterback. Right now, they have a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. Like, I don't mind Mac Jones. I like Mac Jones, but like, you never hear anybody being predicted to make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. But now all of a sudden the Patriots are. It's like, no. And they weren't good last year. So, like, and who's Mac Jones going to throw to? They don't have any wide receivers. They have 2 tight ends they just brought in, but they're not elite by any means. Hunter Henry can barely stay in the field. Like, no, I don't see them being good at all. They're going to be competitive and stay in games. They're always just disciplined. They're always good at special teams, it seems like, especially with Matthew Slater heading them there. They're still good defensively. But no, I don't see them being competitive or being a playoff team really at all.
Right. I'm definitely excited for this week 1 matchup with the Dolphins going up against the Patriots. I really think that first off, I just think it's going to be a good game. I could definitely see turnovers on both sides. I don't think it's going to be an offensive blowout by any means. I think 2 teams that have 2 very good defenses and head coaches that are, for the most part, pretty much defensive minded. So I think, Tua will get some of his, Mac will get some of his, but I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. So we'll have to see what happens as far as that goes. And then the Jets, 4-13, 5-12. I mean, you can't say much about it. Zach Wilson, he'll probably have a decent year, but it's the Jets. They don't have a lot of great players. Rookie head coach. I mean, they could shock the world, but I would be surprised if they do. I'll just say that much. It's the Jets. It's the Jets. So now we have the AFC North division here. Browns. I guess I'll just start off with my predictions. So I have the Browns at 11-6, Ravens at 11-6, Pittsburgh at 9-8, Bengals. So Bengals fans, if you're listening, I have them at 4-13. Now, yes, that does sound bad, and it is not great, but I don't think they're going to look like a 4-13 team. I think the Bengals are going to be if this is even a thing, a competitive 4-13. I think I could definitely see them in a lot of close games. But I think, Joe Burrow, year 2, coming off the ACL, he's going to have probably some growing pains. It's going to be probably tough the first few games or so in the pocket, and especially Jamar Chase with his struggles of catching the football that we've seen in preseason. And I'm not looking too much into that. I mean, everybody drops passes. Unless your name's Larry Fitzgerald, you don't drop passes. But, I think that they are going to be a competitive 4-13 team. So let me hear your predictions for AFC North.
We are very, very close again. I also have Cleveland in first at 12-5. I have Baltimore at 10-7. I had them 11-6, but after they lost Peters and Edwards along with Dobbins, I dropped them to 10-7. And I added a win to Pittsburgh, who I have now at 9-8, and then I have Cincinnati at 5-12. I just think Cleveland's the most well-rounded team. Baltimore, well, them and Baltimore, I'm just not. Lamar Jackson's better than Mayfield, but I'm not huge on Lamar, and I think the rest of Cleveland is better than the rest of Baltimore. And so I'll go Cleveland 12-5, Baltimore 10-7, and Pittsburgh. I don't know, the way they ended last year. I think it's going to be a lot more of the same. I think Roethlisberger's kind of seen his better days past at him, and I don't know. They're still got a really good defense, and they're always towards the top of the league in sacks, though. So they should still be competitive at 9-8. And then Cincy's they got talent in the skill players, but they don't really have defense. They don't really have an offensive line. I just don't see it yet.
Right. And as far as Pittsburgh goes, that's kind of what I want to touch on here for a second. I agree with that. I think, Big Ben and Pittsburgh offense for a long time, they obviously had Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell got his, but at the end of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers were offensive-wise a throw-first team. I mean, Big Ben's throwing it 40, 50, sometimes 60 times a game. I don't think we're going to see as much of that. I think they drafted Najee Harris for a reason in the first round to try and bring back that running game, to try and take a load off of Big Ben's shoulders. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be more of a run-heavy team first. I think Big Ben is obviously going to get his, but I, I agree with you with what you said. The way they ended last season was not good. And I just think, and you got to look at the teams in the division too. The Browns defensively are going to be amazing. Offensively they have their good players as well too. The Ravens again, they did lose some key players. There's no doubt about that, but I still think that they're a better football team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that's an intriguing thing for Pittsburgh this year. But we'll have to see how that goes. AFC South, Nick, I will let you start with this one because I'm pretty sure you had the Titans winning a few games.
Yes, I am. I'm very high on Tennessee this year. My boy Derrick Henry, best running back of the league's over there. Ryan Tannehill.
Sure.
They got Kevin Byard back there still. I think they just got a good squad. They've made the playoffs, I believe, 2 years in a row. And yeah, I got Tennessee winning at 13-4.
Okay.
I believe I told you I had them at 14-3, but no, I have them at 13-4.
Okay.
And I have them winning their division by 7 games.
Wow.
7 games, because I just think this division is awful. I have Indy at 6-11. I'm not high on Wentz. I'm not sure where they stand on the Nelson injury, but if he plays week 1 or not exactly sure. I mean, they got Darius Leonard and a pretty good defense, but I just don't think they're going to have it this year. I don't know. I just don't. So I have them at 6-11. Yeah. Jacksonville. I gave them 5 wins, mainly just because they're going to be playing Houston twice, and I think they might be able to get 1 from Indy. And they have a last place schedule, so they play I think the Jets and Denver or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I got Houston at 3-14, which most people might think is generous, but again, they're going to play Jacksonville twice, so they might get 1 or 2 there. So yeah, Houston at 3-14, but I think this is the worst division in football.
So yeah, AFC South for me, I also have the Titans going 13-4. I think as far as you got to look at the division, I think they're for sure winning 2 against the Texans, for sure winning 2 against the Jaguars. I would think they probably would win both against Indianapolis. I could see the Colts maybe splitting with them, but that's 6 wins right there just in the division. So are another 7 wins possible? I think absolutely. You obviously, Derrick Henry needs no introduction. A.J. Brown's a baller. Julio Jones needs no introduction, a baller. And then Ryan Tannehill, who's one of the more underrated quarterbacks in football. And it's hard to say that because he's 32, but still one of the most underrated quarterbacks in football. And he's going to, do solid. The Titans defense, it's never the best in the league, but it's never the worst. They're going to do enough to get the job done and win. And I think as loaded they are on offense, they probably won't need to have too many defensive bouts where they have to rely on the defense. But we'll have to see what happens there. So Titans at 13-4. I actually have the Colts at 10-7. I was kind of been preaching this entire offseason. Even before Carson Wentz got traded to the Colts, I thought the Colts was going to be the perfect spot for him. Out of the big media in Philadelphia, out of the harsh criticism in Philadelphia, can just go to a new team, take away all the distractions that were there, and just do his thing. Colts, one of the best offensive lines in football. Defensively, they're always a really solid team there too. And then on the offensive side of things, Jonathan Taylor, one of the best young running backs in football. And, he doesn't have the best guys to throw to receiving wise, but I think he's got guys good enough that if given time with his offensive line like they should, I think they definitely can win a few more games. But I do think that the Titans are without a doubt winning the division. I have no doubt in my mind about that. I have the Jags at 6-11. I think that, obviously Trevor Lawrence, no shot at Gardner Minshew, but is better than Gardner Minshew. They're bringing in a new head coach, Urban Meyer, he hasn't coached the NFL yet, but to see what the guy was able to do in the collegiate level to build different cultures almost and win pretty much everywhere he went. That's definitely a huge thing to see for Jacksonville. So that'll be huge. I think Laviska Shenault's going to make a huge leaps this year. DJ Chark, I think might drop off a little bit, but it will hurt. Not that the Jags, this was going to be the difference between the Jags making the playoffs or not, but losing Travis Etienne for the entire season definitely is going to hurt. But James Robinson is going to now, he's definitely worth the first, second round pick in fantasy football if you need to get him there. Yeah. And then Houston, I also have them at 3-14. I mean, they'll probably be the worst team in football. I'm pretty confident about that. If not, bottom 3 worst team in football. I will say though, happy for Tyrod Taylor. Finally, he's going to get a chance again to be QB1 like he was in Buffalo and was for a little bit in the Chargers before he got his lung punctured and kind of got screwed there. But, happy for him to see what he's able to do. Phillip Lindsay, again, I think he kind of got screwed with how how Denver left him off at the end. So he's going to get a chance to do some good things. AFC West now. I have the Chiefs winning the division at 13-4. I mean, arguably best, not second best team in football. I'm not too worried about that. Chargers, I think that with how well Justin Herbert played last season, the electric offense, and I think they have a pretty sneaky good defense. I'm going to give the Chargers 11 wins and put them at 11-6 this next year. Denver, I think they're going to be improved. Teddy Bridgewater's been announced he's going to be the QB1 for Denver, which, I'm not a ginormous Drew Lock guy. One thing that Teddy does a good job of is not making dumb passes. He's just going to make the throws that he needs to do to win. And he can move a little bit, and, he's not flashy. He's not going to, win you a title, but he'll get you some games. And defense is going to be improved too with Patrick Surtain, Kyle Fuller, and Bradley Chubb and Von Miller both being back. That's going to be a pretty solid defense too. And then I have the Raiders at 6-11. I love Derek Carr. I'm a huge Derek Carr guy, but I think after this season, they probably should look to get rid of Derek Carr and just try and do something else, because I'm not going to put all the blame on Derek Carr because it certainly is not all his fault, but you have so many seasons in a row of you being mediocre and average. It's kind of the Ryan Tannehill effect in Miami. Good player, was putting up numbers. It largely was never really his fault, but sometimes you have to cut the cord and start fresh. So that's what I have there. What about you?
So, what did you have Kansas City for a record?
13-4.
I do as well. And I have the Chargers in second at 10-7. And I believe the only difference we have in the entire AFC with positions in the rankings is I have Las Vegas at 3rd and Denver at 4.
Okay.
The Raiders at 9-8 and Denver at 6-11.
Okay.
So we're pretty similar all across the board there.
I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about as far as the West goes. I think we're both in agreement the Chiefs are going to win. We both seem pretty high on the Chargers as well, too. And at the end of the day, those are the two teams it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I don't see anybody beating the Chiefs.
So now, Nick, we can move into your NFC conference. We will start out with the NFC East. This is going to be an interesting division just because there's a fairly decent chance probably any one of those 4 teams could finish in just about any one of the 4 positions. We'll have to see. I didn't have it that way, but starting off in the East, I have Dallas at 10-7. My thing with that is I'm not a big Dallas guy by any means. I think Dak Prescott is going to pick up right where he left off last year before he broke his ankle. With Zeke now being there with Dak Prescott again, we always see when Dak plays, Zeke plays well. So I think Zeke's going to have a bounce back year. CeeDee Lamb, from everything I've heard, is supposed to be a baller this year, like he was towards the end of last year. Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Offensively, this is a good team, but you got to play two sides of the ball to win, and defensively, it's going to be tough. I don't think they've made huge strides on the defensive side of things, but do I think they're better than the Eagles and Giants? Yeah, I think so, and so they'll definitely get wins there. I have Washington at second at 9-8. My boy Fitzmagic, QB1 over there. He's going to be dropping dimes to scary Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel now coming over from Carolina. That's a big addition for them as well, too. And Washington has arguably the best defensive front in all of football, if not top 3. So that's going to be huge as well. Eagles at 8-9. Maybe I was even generous at giving them 8 wins, but I don't think they're going to be the best team. I hope Jalen Hurts plays well. I'm a huge Jalen Hurts guy. Maybe bringing in Devonta Smith, get the Alabama connection again. That should be solid there. And then the Giants at 5-12. Giants have arguably the worst offensive line in all of football. And with Daniel Jones not being able to hang on to the football, that's going to be tough. They did bring in Kenny Golladay, so another offensive weapon, which is big. But, Saquon, I hope he balls out this year. It's going to be tough with no O-line, but he's one of few people in the league that probably doesn't need a phenomenal O-line to win. So we'll have to see how that goes. So how does your NFC East look?
So we actually have it completely different, which is nice considering we're almost all similar in the AFC. I actually don't mind the Cowboys. I actually think they're going to be pretty good. However, I'm really high on Washington this year. Washington's probably my one big sleeper team in the NFC, whereas Tennessee, not that they're a sleeper team, but that's probably the team I'm the most high on compared to everybody else in the AFC. I have Washington at 10-7. They got Fitzmagic back there, who I think is an improvement of any of the quarterbacks they were playing there last year. I like Alex Smith, but Alex Smith last year, I think I would take current Ryan Fitzpatrick over last year's Alex Smith. I really like Antonio Gibson. I really like Terry McLaurin. I really like Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
And I think this defense is one of the best in the whole National Football League. I really do. With Chase Young there, he's already got a year under his belt now, and I just think it's going to be a good year from Washington. I have them at 10-7. I also have Dallas at 10-7. I have Washington winning the tiebreakers between head-to-head and divisional record. I think Washington will edge them some way, but I have Dallas at 10-7. I'm not worried about Dak's injury, maybe just a smidgen, but I think he'll get right back on track. I could see him getting MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. I could see him being a stud in fantasy. He has to throw a lot, and he's good at it. But yeah, they just have no defense there. If they did, I could see them being one of the best teams in the football, but there's no defense there. So, but I have them going 10-7. Giants, maybe a little generous. I got them going 8-9. I just think there's talent there. They just got to put it together. And, there's a lot of weapons now on offense. Nothing special, but I believe you still have Slayton, you got Shepard, you got Golladay, you got Ingram, you got Rudolph, you got Barkley. I mean, there's weapons there. Daniel Jones, it's big. It's a lot on him to take a step up. Defensively, they're in the offensive line, definitely question marks, but I mean, there's worse.
Yeah.
So I think they can find a way to go 8-9. And Philly, I'm just not high on Philly. I don't know, maybe it's the bitter Vikings fan in me from 3 years ago against Philly, but I'm not high on Philly at all. So I have them at 4-13.
I just wanted to talk on the Giants quick because I think that's definitely our main difference. Let me talk about the Washington football team first. I could see the Washington football team winning the division. I think that is very likely. I just have Dallas edging them out. The Giants, I just feel it's really gonna stink. And I had them going 5-12. I just don't think they'll be a great team, which is unfortunate. I like Daniel Jones. Does he have a fumble issue? Yeah. He struggles hanging on to the ball, which is why the not great offensive line play is going to hurt him. But it's really going to stink because I don't feel that if the Giants are not good this year, I don't think they move off of Daniel Jones, but I think they definitely start thinking about it. And I think that's unfortunate because I don't think Daniel Jones has been dealt a really great hand so far to start his career. I just think if they were to get a few pieces on, like, just maybe two just solid offensive line. I'm not even saying they need to be all pro. Just two competent offensive line that can just kind of anchor things down. I could see the Giants in a couple seasons being a potential wild card team, especially with the playoffs expanded. I don't think it's this year. I'm not entirely sure it'll even be next year. But I could see that in the future. But I don't know. We'll just have to see how that happens there for the East. It's such a tough division to predict because,
I don't think
we
they've had
all-
a back winner in over a decade.
right. We all had them in different. We both had them in different places. So we'll have to see. NFC North now, Nick. Starting with your division, let's hear your NFC North predictions.
I have another tie,
Okay.
but edging out the Vikings in a tiebreaker, I have Green Bay at first place at 11-6.
Okay.
I've got the Vikings at 11-6. I've got Chicago at 6-11, and I think Detroit may potentially be the worst team in football. Sorry to say it, at 3-14.
Okay.
I like Jared Goff. I mean, I don't think people are acting like Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford are like this.
Right.
No,
It's a lot close.
Jared Goff not that bad. I mean, he made a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Is he as good as Stafford? Probably not, but he's not that bad. That being said, I'm not super high on Hawkinson or Swift, but that's their best two weapons. They lost Galladay. Their defense is just abysmal.
Yeah.
Offensive line's not great. I just don't see it. So it's not on Goff, but
No.
3-14.
I have the Packers finishing first at 12-5. I have the Vikings right behind them at 11-6. I have the Bears behind the Vikings with a record of 9-8, and I have the Lions at 4-13. I'm pretty confident with the Packers and Vikings first. I'm actually pretty confident with where I have everyone placed in that division. The Bears, I have them going winning 9 games, kind of for the reason. For this reason is that at some point, I'm going to guess by week 3, week 4, maybe even, Justin Fields is going to be starting. And I think, I mean, I was a ginormous Justin Fields guy. I didn't want the Dolphins to trade Tua in this offseason at all by any means. I did not want to get rid of Tua. But I was fine with if we were to get rid of Tua, if Justin Fields was going to be the guy we're going to be drafting, I would have been fine with that. I think he's going to do great this year. So I think that's what they need. They've had a lot of just kind of pocket heavy quarterbacks, guys that don't really move around well, and Justin Fields has a big arm, but he can run if needed too. So I think that'll be huge for the Bears this year. But yeah, and then Lions at 4-13. I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Goff isn't the best quarterback, but he certainly is not as bad as everyone's pegging him out to be.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're awful. Offensively, again, with you 100%. I don't think Swift and Hawkinson are going to do much this year. And I like Dan Campbell. He was an interim coach for the Dolphins for like a half a season, and we won some games. But
He's gonna bite your kneecaps off.
And bite your kneecaps off. It's probably what it's going to be taken for them to win more than 4 games or 3 games for you this year. Moving to the NFC South now. I think this is probably one of the easier ones to predict. I think the South is not going to be good this year. Tampa's probably going to have another easy walk to the division. I have Tampa finishing first at 12-5. I have New Orleans at 7-10, Carolina at 7-10, and Atlanta at 5-12. I really think it is Tampa Bay's division to lose. I mean, I would be shocked if they are not winning the division at the end of the year. New Orleans, obviously say what you want about Michael Thomas, but at the end of the day, the guy's an elite receiver, and with him pretty much being gone for half the season, that's going to hurt a ton. The Saints defense still for like the 35th year in a row is not a great defense. So we'll have to see. Yeah, well, they're not bad, but they're not. I'm not putting them top 10. I mean, they're middle of the pack, lower to bottom half of the league for me.
I think they're a little better than that, but They're not. I mean, they might not be elite. I think they're better than that though. But anyways, I got Tampa at 17-0. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, get out of here.
Tampa's not losing this division, but they're not winning 17. I have them at 14-3. I have New Orleans at 8-9, Atlanta at 7-10, and Carolina at 5-12. Hey, last year I had Tampa Bay winning it all, and you thought it was crazy. By the way, my Super Bowl prediction last year, folks, was Buccaneers over Chiefs. This man laughed at me. Guess what happened? The Bucs beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Ha!
Yep. Yeah, I will take my L. I will gladly take my L.
Tampa's not losing this division. They're going 14-3. New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina. I don't think Carolina's any good. I actually don't mind Sam Darnold. I like Sam Darnold. I hope he has success, but I don't think the rest of that team, there's much there. That defense is not very good, so I have them in last. New Orleans is still pretty talented. They lost Breeze, but there's still talent there. But I just don't think there's really enough. So I got them around 500 at 8-9. And Atlanta's really hard to predict, but I like Ridley. I think Pitts is going to be good. Matt Ryan's still at times pretty good. So I don't know. 7-10 seems all right for them.
I think Atlanta is probably have top 5 worst defenses in the league.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, they should be able to put up 30.
Atlanta's always going to score a lot of points, but they're probably going to give up a lot more. So we'll have to see. And
if you play fantasy, if you have anybody in an Atlanta game, whether it's a Falcons player or anybody they're playing against, it's a good thing. Unless it's the defense, you better not have that.
No, I agree. And then NFC West, Nick, I'll let you take this one. I think this has potential to be the best division in football.
It's easily the best division of football, without a doubt. Yep. And it's the hardest to predict. I think I have almost completely opposite of what the Vegas odds are. Not exactly, but I have Seattle winning it. I just don't know why Russell Wilson gets so disrespected. I understand it's not just about the quarterback, but Wilson's the best quarterback in this division. He's one of the best in football. And this defense isn't special, but it's not horrible.
Yeah.
When Carson's healthy, he's a good running back. Chris Carson is a good running back when he's healthy. Yep. And they have one of the best wide receiver duos in the league and one of the best wide receivers in the league in Metcalf and then Lockett. Disley's healthy. They added Gerald Everett. So they should be able to use the tight ends a little bit. They have Rashad Penny there. They have a lot of offensive depth. The offensive line, not good, but, at least Wilson can scramble. And Wilson's clutch. I mean, Seattle sometimes they'll be 5-2 with a negative point differential.
Yeah.
They find ways to win.
Yep. After
doing that, I mean, they've done that multiple years. So at that point, I don't think it's luck anymore. It's just how to win. It's like the Rays in baseball.
Yeah.
So I have them winning at 11-6. Not great for division winner, but this division is going to be very competitive. So I have them winning at 11-6. I have Arizona at 10-7. We talked last year how we think Arizona is, knocking on the doorstep. I think maybe one more year yet. It just, how Kyler progresses. But they added J.J. Watt. I'm not super high on him. I'm not a huge fan of that deal. He's getting a lot of money, but, it's still a good player in J.J. Watt. You got possibly the best pass rusher in football. I'd say it's probably Hunter and then Jones. So you got Chandler Jones there. You got Budda Baker, who I'm really high on defensively. So offensively, I don't think there's much question marks. You got the O-line's not great, but again, you have maybe the most versatile quarterback in football between him and Lamar. You have Kyler. You lost Larry Fitzgerald, which might matter more in the locker room than anything, but you have all sorts of wide receivers. I mean, you added AJ Green, you got D-Hop, you got Kirk. They got 2 running backs that complement each other very well, I think. Mm-hmm. And then defensively is a little bit of a question mark because they never seem to be as good as they should be. But there's plenty of talent, as I mentioned with Watt and Jones and Baker. And then you also got, Simmons there. They lost Hassan Reddick, but I think Arizona is going to be good. I have them at 10-7. The Rams are, a Super Bowl pick for a lot of teams. I don't dislike the Rams. I just like the other teams in their division more.
Yeah, I agree.
And if they were in any other division of football, I'd have them in the playoffs. But I actually have the Rams missing the playoffs at 10-7, which 10-7 is good. Yeah. But their defense is really good. I believe they were number 1 in the league last year. And I like Stafford, and I really like Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp's good. But, there's questions with the running back. Is Darrell Henderson Jr. going to be able to do it? Is how good is Stafford exactly? If Stafford is as good as some people think, it's hard to tell how good this man actually is because he's been with Detroit all these times,
Yeah.
If Stafford's truly really good and it was just Detroit holding back, well, yeah, this team might win the Super Bowl. But I don't think, he's that great. I don't think he's just going to propel him to Super Bowl right away. And I'm just, as good as his defense is, I don't know what it is. I just don't think they're as good as Arizona or Seattle. I just don't. But I have them at 10-7, and then San Fran. I don't know. I'm just not that high on them. I know they were very injured last year. They were crippled with injuries.
Yeah.
A year after they made the Super Bowl. But the quarterback's the most important position in football.
Yes.
They don't have a great one. They don't have a bad one. They got Garoppolo's not bad, and they also have Trey Lance there now. But they have the worst quarterback in the division, I think, regardless of who plays.
Yep.
You have a very good defense, but you play in a very good offensive division now, So, I mean, it's not like you're for sure going to win those division games just because your defense. And then their offense does better than, in my opinion, what they should. Roster-wise, they just have a very good system there. They always seem to be able to run the ball, even though their running backs are never healthy. I just think talent-wise, they're slightly below the other teams. Depth-wise, maybe they're up there. But talent-wise, I don't know. But I have them at 8-9, which is very good for last place team. It's just, this division's just so hard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I agree 100% with everything you've been saying so far in this division. So I have Seattle at first and 12-5. Arizona second at 11-6. The Rams third at 10-7, and the 49ers last at 8-9.
Okay, 'cause I'm pretty sure by Vegas odds, it's San Fran, LA, Seattle, Arizona. I think, which means we almost have it opposite. Not quite, but almost. And we have the same. That's kind of surprising to me.
I agree with Seattle. I just think, some teams know how to win. Seattle is always going to get you 11, 12, 13 wins a season. I think they're going to be right in the middle with 12. Arizona, last year we did talk about having them right on the doorstep. I think this is the year that they actually do make it in, and I have them at 11-6 as far as that goes.
What do you have Seattle at?
12-5.
Okay.
I have the Rams again, like you said, at 10-7, just for the fact that Seattle and Arizona are better. I don't think the Rams are a bad team by any means at all. I think they're a really good team. But I just think Seattle and Arizona are not much better, but they're a better team. And then as far as the 49ers go, they are pretty solid on every single place that they need to be a good football team, except for the guy behind center at the quarterback. And I think it's mainly just because the questions behind it. Is Jimmy G going to be there? Is it going to be Trey Lance? I'm not high on Jimmy G. I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but I think he's definitely the worst one in the division. And with Trey Lance pretty much barely playing any football the last 2 years.
True. Yeah.
It getting no offense to NDSU, but NDSU is not the SEC. There's a reason why Carson Wentz has pretty much been the only other, pretty decent player to come from NDSU. And if there's other ones that I'm missing off the top of my head, please tell me. But Carson Wentz and Trey Lance are the only two people I can think of coming from NDSU that have been worth anything.
Hey, my cousin played at NDSU.
Oh, is he in the NFL?
He played D1 basketball, actually.
Oh, okay. And then so it's interesting. We'll have to see how that goes. I'm not knocking on Trey Lance. I think given time, I think he could be a solid quarterback, but there's too much question marks for my liking, so I'm going to give them 8-9.
As far as this division is concerned, though, it seems like anytime the NFC East plays each other, it's prime time. Well, I want every single NFC West game prime time. Like if Seattle plays Arizona, Seattle plays LA, Seattle plays San Fran, specifically 1 through 3. San Fran's not as exciting to watch, but pretty much, if there's in my opinion anyways, if there's a matchup between two of these teams, put them on prime time, please.
I agree.
Please.
I agree 100%.
Plus, I also have a lot of Rams on fantasy, so.
You want to watch your boys prime time.
See Bobby.
So now we can go into our playoff predictions now, and then we'll go with awards afterwards. So we will start with the AFC, Nick. Give me your seeding from first to seventh.
So numero uno, the only bye now. I have Tennessee. I had them and Kansas City both at 13-4, but I believe head-to-head is divisional record. I believe the tiebreaker, if there's no head-to-head game, is wait a second. Do they play each other? Let me check this real quick. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I know I thought this through. I just can't remember if I had them because I believe the Titans won the division last year, right? Okay, so yes, the Titans play the Chiefs this year, and tiebreaker in this scenario will be head-to-head if applicable. It is, but the game is in Tennessee, so I believe what I was thinking was Tennessee will win that game. I'm leaning Tennessee, so I have Tennessee winning the tiebreaker, and they get the 1. I have Kansas City at 2, Buffalo at 3, Cleveland at 4, Miami at 5, Baltimore at 6, and the Chargers at 7.
Okay. So for mine, I have the Chiefs getting the 1 seed. I mean, I obviously I think they're the best team in football, but it's not like they're significantly.
For the
over
record, I do think the Chiefs are better than the Titans.
Right. Yeah.
The Titans play
but head to head. Yeah. 2 seed, I have the Titans. I think they're going to be right behind them. 3 seed, I have Buffalo. 4, I have Cleveland. 5, I have Baltimore. 6, I have Miami, and 7, I have the Chargers.
So you have the same 7 playoff teams. All right.
Well, that is my 1 to 7. I feel pretty confident about the teams that are going to be in the playoffs for the AFC. The order, I don't know. I mean, but I feel pretty confident about the teams that are going to be there.
I'm not super confident about the Chargers just because they always seem to disappoint. They always underperform.
Sure. Good point.
So
let's hear your NFC.
I have Tampa at the 1. No surprise there. 2, I have Green Bay at only 11-6 as a 2 seed. 3 seed, I have Seattle. 4, Washington because they won the division. 5, Vikings. 6, Dallas, and 7, Arizona.
Okay. So my number 1 again is Tampa. I have Seattle at 2 as a 2 seed. The 3 seed, I have Green Bay. The 4 seed, I have Dallas. Obviously, Dallas won the division. The 5 seed, I have Arizona. The 6 seed, I have the Vikings. So I have a Packers-Vikings first-round matchup for the playoffs. Didn't even plan it like that. That's just how it worked out. And then realizing I was just talking about the Rams and how I didn't think they were going to beat Seattle and Arizona, and I still don't. But I guess I did have the Rams making the playoffs as a 7 seed.
Okay, so I honestly wish it weren't this way, just for the fact it would be more fun to debate. But I think the Rams and Washington are literally the only difference we have in 14 playoff teams. Yeah. So either we're both really good at this, or we both suck.
Yeah, I could very well see Washington making the playoffs. I'll just throw that out there. I think that's a very possible scenario. But I had the Rams when I was doing my prediction. So 3 teams from the NFC West. Maybe if the 49ers are really good, we'll see all 4 teams make it, but I doubt that will happen. But anyways, so
that would be crazy if 4 teams from the division make it. That would be epic.
That would be epic. Well, that would be the division to do it. If it's any division, it's going to be that one.
That's Sure. Maybe just possibly the West and the AFC also, but sure. I would doubt it.
Right. So AFC. So let's hear your first round matchups in the AFC and who you have winning.
So I have Kansas City as the 2 versus the 7 Chargers. So divisional matchup. I have Kansas City winning. I have Buffalo over Baltimore. This could be a very good game. You got Allen versus Lamar, but I got Buffalo. Then we have Cleveland versus your Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
And I think, Miami's secondary is really good, but Cleveland, I think I could totally see Miami winning a playoff game. It's just this isn't a very good matchup for them, I don't think. Cleveland's as reliant on the run as possibly anybody in all of football. If they were relying on the pass, I'd maybe take Miami, but I think Cleveland's just going to be able to run the ball against them, and I'm taking Cleveland to win. And I think your offense is going to struggle to find points against Cleveland. So I have Cleveland. So I have the home team 3-0.
Okay. For my first round matchup, I have the number 2 Titans going up against the number 7 Chargers. I think it's going to be a fun season for Chargers fans, but I think the Titans are a much better football team, and I have the Titans winning that one. The 3 and the 6, I have Buffalo's the 3 going up against Miami, the 6. I think that's going to be an extremely tough game for the Dolphins to win. Can they? Absolutely. I think that there's a very possibility that they could win. I just think it's, at the end of the day, as much as I love Tua, and I love Tua, but I think it's going to come down to who has the better quarterback, and Josh Allen is the better quarterback out of the two. So I have Buffalo winning that one. I think it could be a close game. Miami has one of the best defenses in football. So they can make Josh Allen make some mistakes, but I think it'll come down to quarterback play. Josh Allen's better than Tua, and so I have Buffalo winning that one. And then I have the 4 Browns going up against the number 5 Ravens.
You have like all divisional matchups.
Yeah, all divisional matchups except for the Titans and Chargers. That's pretty much the only difference there. But much like you, I have the home team going 3-0. I have the Browns winning that matchup. So moving over to the NFC now, let's hear your first round predictions for the NFC.
So I have the 2 Green Bay versus the 7 Arizona Cardinals. I think the last time these two played in the playoffs, it was an epic game. That's when Jeff Janis had the Hail Mary.
Oh, yeah.
And then Fitzgerald had the big play to put him up at like the 2, and then with Palmer, they won. But I have Green Bay winning this game. I have Seattle versus Dallas. That should be a great offensive battle there. I have Seattle winning. And then I have Washington versus Minnesota. And I have the Vikings winning. I don't know, maybe I'm a homer, but I do think the Vikings are a slightly better football team. And I think Washington's pass rush is very, very good. The Vikings struggle against pass rushing teams. But I think Dalvin can do enough to get them to win. We shall see. But that's actually the only road team I have winning. So I have Green Bay, Seattle, and Minnesota.
Okay. So I have the number 2 Seattle, number 7 Rams. I think this will be another divisional game. I think it'll be a fantastic game. I trust Russell Wilson more, and I trust Pete Carroll more than Sean McVay. I love Sean McVay. That is no knock to Sean McVay at all. But I think at the end of the day, Seattle's probably got the better coach. They definitely have the better quarterback.
Obviously, Pete Carroll made one of the worst calls ever. But I truly think Pete Carroll's probably the second best coach in football. I really do, behind Bill.
I would maybe put Andy Reid too, and then maybe Pete Carroll at 3.
Reid's up there. John Harbaugh, I think, is a great coach. Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton.
But regardless, top 3, top 5 at worst for head coach. So I have Seattle winning that matchup, and then I have the number 3 Packers at home against the number 6 Minnesota Vikings. Vikings fans, I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, I'm sorry. But I let me say this. I think the Vikings have a better defense and offensive side of things. I think they maybe have better weapons, but at the end of the day, it's Rodgers and it's Kirk Cousins. No shot at Kirk Cousins. I think the guy gets a lot of unnecessary crap thrown at him for stuff that really isn't his fault a lot of the time. But Aaron Rodgers can win with you and I at wide receiver. So I'm going to give the edge.
I'd like to see that. I want to test that theory. Can we see if somebody will let us do that?
Call up head coach LaFleur there and see what we can do. Give us a 10-day contract.
You call LaFleur, I'll call Roger.
Yeah. I am going to give the edge to the Packers though. Home in Lambeau, and like January. Cold weather game. Now, Minnesota, yes, Minnesota, cold place, but they play in a dome at home. When they play Detroit, it's in a dome, and Chicago's about the only other place. So, as far as getting used to the cold, I probably have to give the edge of the Packers a little bit on this one, but, you know, I think it'll be a really good game, though. That's for sure. And it's going to be a game that Vikings fans probably have been looking forward to for a long time. Play the Packers in the playoffs.
Yeah, if we win.
Yeah. And then the 4 and the 5 matchup, I have Dallas going up against Arizona. I actually have Arizona.
That'd be a very exciting game.
I actually have Arizona winning this one. So Arizona.
I would love to see that game. Prescott versus Tyler.
I think that'll be a great one. But I have Arizona winning at the end, and I think it's going to be some heartbreaking fashion to seem like how Dallas these last 3 years have been losing all their games just in the worst ways possible. So I'm going to give it to Arizona, though, winning that one. So Arizona is the only road team in the first round that I have winning on AFC and NFC. So now let's hear your AFC second round predictions.
So I have Tennessee as the 1, playing the lowest remaining seed, which would be Cleveland as the 5. This, I think, would be a great game. You got Derrick Henry versus Nick Chubb. I mean, it's just going to be, this is like going to be 1950s, just ground and pound, man. And you got big boys. You got Chubb, Henry, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, very good offensive lines. You got, I mean, this should be a fun football game to watch, I think, unless you just want to see 60-yard bombs or something. But I have Tennessee outlasting them. And then I have Kansas City versus Buffalo. I think this would be a great game as well. We will see this in the regular season too. Yep. And I don't see anybody in the AFC beating Kansas City. Potentially Buffalo, potentially Tennessee or Cleveland, but I don't see it. So Kansas City over Buffalo.
I have the number 2 I have the number 1 Chiefs going up against the number 4 Browns, the Browns being the lowest remaining seed left.
Which is a week 1 matchup.
Yep, week 1 matchup, so we'll have to see how that one goes as far as that one lays out. Fun, that's pretty cool. Week 1 and then meet up in the playoffs again. That'd be pretty cool. I have the Chiefs winning. No knock on the Browns. One of the best young teams in football. But I do have the Chiefs winning that matchup. I mean, don't really need to give too many reasons why for the Chiefs. And then I have the number 2 Titans at home against number 3 Buffalo Bills. I think that's going to be another great game as well, too. I'm going to give the edge to the Titans on this one. I think it's going to be really close. Josh Allen at times can be a little turnover happy. And I think that's what it's going to come down to in this game. I think Allen's going to have too many turnovers, and I think the Titans is what's going to come out on top for that one.
And the Bills and the Titans play each other week 6.
Okay.
And the Bills play the Chiefs week 5. So.
Gotcha. Now, what does your NFC side look like?
I have the 1 Tampa versus the Vikings.
Okay.
Imagine watching Vikings versus Brady. I would be all for Vikings. For anybody who doesn't think so, you're wrong. I'd be all into the Vikings, but yeah, I don't think we would beat Tampa, unfortunately. And I have Green Bay beating Seattle. These 2 teams have played each other a lot the last few years. It's always close, but I don't think Russell Wilson has beat the Packers in Green Bay yet, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Green Bay edges them out.
Okay. I have Tampa beating Arizona. I think this is where Arizona's, and I'm not going to call it a Cinderella season by any means, because I think they will be a legitimately good team for a while now.
For some reason, like that matchup, that could be like the one team I could see like really upsetting them. Like Kyler would be able to like avoid that, pass rush and whatnot, and like if Chandler Jones could cause Brady, difficulties, I think that would be a nice matchup to watch. But yeah. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's fine. I had Tampa winning that, having winning that matchup. end of the day, it's the reigning champs and the GOAT versus Kyler Murray. I mean, no knock at Kyler Murray, but it's hard to pick against Tom Brady. So I got to go with Tampa. And then Green Bay and
We're
Seattle.
playing baseball. I'm taking Kyler, but I believe they were both drafted, right? Wasn't Tom
They
Brady
were,
drafted?
yep. Yep. Tom Brady, I believe, was drafted as a catcher by the Montreal Expos.
Nice.
And then Kyler obviously was drafted first round by the
He was
Oakland
like 8th
A's.
overall, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That sucks for Oakland.
It does.
That's the risk you take, I guess.
Yep. And then I have the number 2 Seattle Seahawks home against the number 3 Green Bay Packers. I think this is where you see Aaron Rodgers in a Packers uniform for the last time, potentially Devontae Adams in a Packers uniform for the last time. But I think this is where the season is over for Green Bay, and the last dance, as a lot of fans and players have been calling it, is finally done. So I have Seattle winning.
That would make me happy, man.
So now let's hear your AFC and NFC conference championship games. And here you have one.
Right. Rematch of 2 years ago, Tennessee versus Kansas City. This time in Tennessee, though. However, don't think it matters. I kind of gave this away earlier. I have Chiefs over Titans. And rematch of last year, Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. But in Tampa this time rather than Green Bay. I believe it was Green Bay last year, right? And I have Tampa winning. I'm taking Brady over Rodgers. And Brady does have a better supporting cast, I will say that. So I'm taking Bucks over Packers for a Bucks-Chiefs rematch.
I have Kansas City going up against Tennessee, with Kansas City being the home team, with them being the 1 seed. Kansas City's going to win. I feel fairly confident. I think it could be a good game. I think it definitely has potential to be a really good game, but at the end of the day, Chiefs are going to do what they do best. Tampa and Seattle, again, huge fan of Russell Wilson, but Tom Brady, I mean, I think
There's one guy I would like to see beat the Bucks besides obviously Cousins Spikes. It would be Russell.
And I do think Tampa's pieces are better. I don't think it's significantly better. I think Seattle has ballers on their offense, that's for sure. But I think it's going to come down to the defensive side of things, really. And
Godwin, Evans, Gronk, Metcalf, Lockett, nice.
Chris Carson, if healthy. But I am going to give the edge to Tampa. So I also have a Kansas City-Tampa Super Bowl rematch.
You're boring.
Yeah, I know. So who is your Super Bowl winner and who's the MVP?
When I did these predictions, I did everything. I got all the way to this point, and then I did not finish my predictions for like a week. As I had Tampa versus Kansas City, and I'm like, I don't know who to pick. I don't like picking against Tom Brady. Like, do not bet against the man. And last year, I picked him to win it all. You call me crazy. He won it all. But, he has lost a Super Bowl or 2 or 3.
Yep.
They've all been at the NFC East. He obviously can't play the NFC East in the Super Bowl. But I do think Kansas City might take them this year. So I actually have Kansas City beating Tampa 23-20. And I have Patty Mahomes getting Super Bowl MVP. By the way, I had Super Bowl MVP right last year, too. So, not to toot my own horn or anything.
Sure. Sure. So I have, obviously, Kansas City and Tampa in the Super Bowl as well, too. Much like you, it was hard to pick a winner. Ginormous reason why Kansas City sucked in the Super Bowl last year, I think, is because of the COVID situation. I know they dropped a couple offensive linemen with injuries that got hurt, and Mahomes was running for his life from the first snap of the game all the way down to the end. I think if they can shore up on those things, which they have, I think Kansas City will win. Patrick Mahomes is finally going to get his revenge on Tom Brady after knocking him out of the playoffs a couple years ago because Dee Ford can't line up on sides, and then losing in the Super Bowl to him this last season. Mahomes finally wins against Tom Brady, and he's going to go down as Super Bowl MVP as well, too, for me. So That's our prediction. Sorry, folks, if you wanted a little bit of controversy, but we didn't give it to you. They're pretty much the entire same teams we all picked, but you know what? That happens sometimes.
Do you have awards? Did you predict awards?
Yep, I did awards. So who do you have win an MVP?
The man who's never received an MVP vote, somehow, Russell, let's cook Wilson.
Okay. I respect that. I had Russell Wilson last year, and maybe the first half of the season, he probably was the MVP, and then kind of got what then was cooking a little bit too much and throwing interceptions.
I'd love to see the guy get one.
I would love it. I could definitely see it happen.
I think this is the best chance, honestly, because they're going to have to score points with the competition they got in that division this year. He's got Metcalf and Lockett. So I hope so. We'll see.
I have Patty Mahomes winning his second MVP. But, folks, now listen. Now, I do have a sleeper MVP pick, okay? Mahomes, I have winning, and that's the one I'm going to lock down in stone. But my sleeper MVP for this season, Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals.
Like, as long as you don't say Tua.
No, yeah, well, as much as I would like Tua to win MVP, he's probably a couple years out from that.
I could see Kyler. It looked like he had a chance last year for a while. But my second would be Dak. Well, Dak or Mahomes. I mean, at the end of the day, Mahomes is the favorite. I don't like picking the favorite, even though sometimes I do. But I'd say Mahomes or Dak after that. I think Dak's going to have a good year.
I think so, too. And then who is your offensive player of the year?
Probably not a very popular pick, but I don't think he's the best wide receiver in football. I think that's either Hill or Adams. But I have a guy who's by himself pretty much now in the offense is going to have to put up yards, and I think he will. I have Calvin Ridley getting Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay, I like that. I like that pick a lot. A lot of people do not have him winning, but I could see it. I can definitely see it. My Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going with Alvin Kamara from New Orleans Saints. I think that, and the reason why I picked him is with Michael Thomas being out for who knows how long he's going to be out for, they are going to be relying on the pass catching and obviously rush ability of Alvin Kamara that much more to get points. I think that he is definitely going to be the number one target for the Saints on both sides of the ball, and I think he's going to pretty much if the New Orleans Saints, I don't have them making the playoffs. I don't even have them at a 500 record, but if the Saints are going to be competitive this year, Alvin Kamara is going to probably have to have a ginormous workload, and I think he can do it. Barring injury, I think he can do it. So I'm going to give it to Alvin.
Yet you picked my boy Derrick Henry over him in fantasy, huh?
I did. Yeah, I did.
I would have as well, but
yep, I did. Now we are at Defensive Player of the Year. Who do you have for that?
My boy Danielle Hunter.
Not a bad pick. If he stays healthy, I think he will. I have Myles Garrett from Cleveland. I could see Danielle Hunter win. That's definitely not a bad pick by any means, as long as he's not swinging helmets and taking people's heads off and plays a full season. I think Myles Garrett winning. I think the guy's an absolute beast and a baller, and I want to give it to Xavier Howard. Part of me just salty that he didn't win last year. I thought he should have, but didn't win last year. I don't even remember who won last year off the top of my head.
Who won? I seem to remember agreeing with it, but I don't remember who won. Because a lot of people thought it should have been T.J. Watt, but I think it was Donald again.
Oh yeah. But I'm going to go with Myles Garrett. Who is your Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Najee Harris. I think he's got the best opportunity to do it, being he's just going to get a huge workload. Pittsburgh in their history has had some pretty good running backs. They like running the football, that AFC North tough style football, and I just really like him. And there's a lot of Alabama wide receivers and a lot of Alabama running backs in the NFL, and a lot of them pan out, like Derrick Henry, for example, Josh Jacobs. So I'm going with Najee.
Lately, it seems like the offensive rookie of the year has mainly gone to who won it last year?
Herbert.
That's right. Besides Herbert, for the most part, it's kind of been a running back award. I think Justin Jefferson certainly could have won it last year, but Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, that's kind of been the main theme of things. I'm going to go quarterback again. Um, I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence. I think, he's going to put up his numbers and is going to be, uh, I mean, I have them winning 6 games. So if you can say balling out in the 6 games, that's your win, then so be it. I actually have Jamar Chase finishing second. I think he's the best wide receiver in the class. And, obviously Burrow and Chase having the LSU connection, I think they're going to try and get the chemistry back if they lost it right away week 1 against your Minnesota Vikings. We'll have to see how that ball game goes there for them. And then defensive rookie of the year, who do you have winning that one?
So I think this could be anybody, but
yeah,
the best chance is normally a D end or a pass rusher, and I just kind of picked one, and I'm going with Kwity Paye.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Going with Kwity Paye.
I'm going to go with Micah Parsons from Dallas. From everything I've seen, he can kind of do just about everything, coverage, rushing. So I got to give it to Micah Parsons, I guess. I agree with you. I think that could be just about anyone's award. I don't think that's a clear-cut favorite for that one. I don't know if you did comeback player of the year. I did. I picked Dak Prescott for that. I think that's a fairly easy one.
Yeah. And then coach of the year, I got Mike Vrabel.
I had Brian Flores. I think he should have won last year. And I think now showing back-to-back years, Miami Dolphins winning 10-plus games, getting into the playoffs will show the voters a lot. And I think he's going to be winning that award for us. So, Brian Flores, congratulations. You have yourself your first award as an NFL head coach. But anyways, so now we're at the end of the podcast. Nick, anything football-wise or anything that you wanted to bring up before we finish the show here?
Just pumped for the opener. Go Vikes. Skol.
Fins up, baby. Go Dolphins. But anyways, folks, if you would like to follow our podcast and us on social media, you can follow myself at Lucas_Dorton, capital L and D. If you want to follow Nick on Twitter, at Doetkott. If you'd like to follow our Twitter page for the podcast, it's at DMD_podcast. Capital D's, capital P for that. Certainly reach out and tell us if you want to be on a show. We'd love to have you on. We've gotten some new faces on this year so far, so it's always a good time. But anyways, folks, as for Nick and myself, until next time, we are out.